What's that you hear? It's noise. You know why? Because life is noisy, okay? There's a million different inputs coming at us at one time. Text messages, social media notifications, work stress, and just the general mishigas of everyday life. And lately, I've been feeling all of the things. I had this feeling that I wasn't in the right place and I was settling for the status quo instead of creating the life I wanted. And if I'm being honest, I just felt lost. I knew I felt trapped and I didn't know how to get unstuck. I needed a change, so I did something that at first felt impossible. What's good, everybody? It's me, Jay. And today we're diving deep into something I recently tried that was pretty transformative: a 3-day spiritual fast. Now, I grew up in a Baptist church, so I'm not new to the concept, and I've always been intrigued by the idea of fasting, not so much for a physical sense, but more so for mental health and spiritual clarity. So after a lot of research and some serious mental prep, I decided to commit to a 3-day spiritual fast. My rules were pretty simple. Liquids only, strictly water, tea, coffee, and fresh juices for 3 days. But equally as important, I cut out all social media, news, and I really limited my screen time to essential communication for work. Now, the goal wasn't to cleanse my body. That isn't what the no food thing was about. The purpose of this fast was to cleanse my mind of all external chatter that was slowly driving me crazy. I focused on journaling, meditation, spending time in nature, and just being. Day 1. The morning was surprisingly easy. I got up a little early, made myself a big breakfast, watched a few YouTube videos from my favorite creators, and I started my fast right at 9 a.m. To resist the temptation of those distractions, I deleted all social media apps off my phone and unplugged every TV in the house. But by lunchtime, the hunger kicked in. And it wasn't a hunger for food, it was a hunger for distractions. I had been watching old episodes of Bones, and that had become my new habit. So now that content was gone, I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I felt like Ricky Bobby. And that's when I realized like how much of a habit distractions had become in my life. So whenever I felt the need to grab my phone and open Instagram and doom scroll, I just sat with the urge, acknowledged that I had the desire for distraction, and then I let that urge pass. I spent some time meditating, and that really helped ground me because I got out of my head and stopped thinking about the distractions I was missing and just started to be in my body and in the moment. Day 2 was probably the hardest day because now the real hunger kicked in and it was consistent. I woke up with a bit of a headache, so the first thing I did was drink some water with some electrolytes. I think the headache was a combination of caffeine withdrawal and general detoxification. But the biggest challenge was the mental chatter. So because my brain didn't have its typical distractions, it was going a mile a minute. I couldn't stop the thoughts from coming. It was go clean the garage and, get rid of all your old clothes and you need to look for a new job. And I was just like, okay, there's a lot happening in my mind right now. And all of those thoughts were overwhelming, but at the same time, incredibly illuminating. Those thoughts showed me just how much time I spent using distractions to not think about the things I need to do in my life to make me better. Day 2 is also when I started journaling. Now, I'm not usually a person who journals, but just opening up a book and writing a stream of consciousness really helped to get those ideas that were coming at me all at once out of my head and helped me organize them because now they were on paper. I went for a short walk in my neighborhood park, and it was so nice to be around the trees and just being in nature. And there's a neighborhood garden I walked through. So it just felt good to get away from technology and devices and just be in a simple space that wasn't being manipulated. Nature just exists, and I need to just exist sometimes. So being in nature helped me remember that. And then there's day 3, and this is where things shifted dramatically. So day 3, which was Saturday, I woke up with a phone call from my mom inviting me to church. Now, my mom runs a sewing club at her church on Saturdays, but this particular Saturday, the church was doing meditation, prayer. They were also doing a homeless outreach where they were stuffing hygiene bags with snacks, and they were giving them out to the homeless. So my mom was like, hey, do you just want to come out and be a part of what's happening at the church? And my initial response was no. But then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, let me go and be a part of something bigger than myself. So I went to the church, I stuffed a few of the bags, learned more about the ministry that was really providing services and resources to the homeless community here. And I sat in the sanctuary and listened to the choir rehearse for Sunday service. And it just felt good to be in that space. It's been a long time since I have been a part of a church where I don't just go for Sunday service, I do other activities in the church. So just being a part of other ministries in a church to help me connect to the Spirit that way felt really fulfilling. After I left the church, I went home and I got into my daily Bible devotions. I did a little meditating, I did some journaling, and it finally felt like my brain was decluttering itself. So the ideas and the thoughts that I was having before that were coming at me all at once and I couldn't make sense of, now they were starting to have a theme. And it's weird, but it's like I had folders in my head where I could put that thought. So if this folder was home, lifestyle, then if I had a thought to clean the garage, that thought got filed in this folder, where usually it's just like paper scattered all over the floor. But the thoughts started to be more organized and they had a purpose. Like everything that I was thinking of was something I had thought of before and been meaning to do, but because I didn't write it down, because I didn't execute it, because I let distractions take me away from doing the thing, those things never got done. So now it's clear that those things need to be done. And because they're filed somewhere safe, it's like I can easily access that folder and pull that thought out of there, if that makes sense. So what did I learn about my life's purpose? Well, it wasn't a thunderbolt revelation like, aha. Instead, it was a deeper understanding of what I want to contribute to the world and what I want my life to be like. For me, it became abundantly clear that my life's purpose is centered around service. I take pride in being able to make people feel at home in my space. Wherever I am, I make that space safe and comfortable for other people. So I don't know what that looks like career-wise or community-wise, but I do know that I feel compelled to be in service. Now, the next step for me doesn't have a specific title or position. It's more like how I want to feel about my work and my life and the impact I want to have on the world. I think of it as having a guiding principle. Another thing I realized was how much energy I was spending on meaningless distractions. Now, when I redirected that energy inward, I started to see changes happening and I started to feel a change. I was less anxious, more present, more focused, and dare I say calmer, more at peace. Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to do a 3-day fast, okay? Because this is a personal journey and it's not for everyone. As a matter of fact, please consult a healthcare professional before you decide to do any fast, because that's not me. I'm just a 40-something on the internet, okay? Go talk to a doctor. But the principalities of the fast, of intentionally walking away from distractions, even for a few hours, is incredibly powerful. Now, whether you do a digital detox, you go away for a weekend, or even if you sit down for an hour every day in the quiet, creating that space for yourself is invaluable. It will allow cohesive thoughts and your true desires to surface without all the noise getting in the way. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, distracted, or like me, a bit unsure of your path, then I highly encourage you to find your own way of creating some intentional quiet in your life. Have you ever tried a spiritual fast or a digital detox? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be interested to hear your experiences. That's all I have for today. And if you have enjoyed our time together, then make sure you subscribe to my channel for more content. I'll see you guys next time in another video. But until then, love you, minute. Bye.